Check, mic check. Nervous.
About what?
I haven't done an interview in a long time. I was telling my wife, at least it's like a good friend of mine. Yo, this is like the first interview I've done in like 2 years, by the way. Isn't that crazy? Yo, what's up? It's Logic here with Nick, Huff, Barili from hardknocktv, and you're watching the No Pressure interview. It's a pretty fucking good interview. This is fire.
Aquarius III and your wife. Tell me the story about that.
I recorded Aquarius III, and I called it Aquarius III because the instrumental reminded me of some incredible true story shit. And I was like, yo, this is like crazy vibe. And I wrote those rhymes, and a lot of the rhymes are about my son. And it's when my wife was coming to term and she was closer to having a baby. And I was thinking even more. You know, I wrote this sitting shotgun in my favorite ride, reflecting on memories from my childhood, bringing a baby in this world. I hope my child good. All I ever gave a fuck about was my career. But now all that shit out the window now that my son is here. Fuck sales and streams, none of that shit entails dreams. Fuck rap, fuck press, fuck feeling like I'm less. If it ain't about my happiness, then I could give a fuck less. I remember window shopping. Now I'm shopping for windows for my baby new room. Bobby coming soon. And that's the type of line I would have second guessed putting on my shit before. Out of fear that they would hate because they couldn't relate, you know, because it wasn't whatever the fuck. And I named it Aquarius III because I thought it was really cool and it would tie in with the incredible true story shit, right? And I was laying in bed with my wife and I played her the song and she goes, why'd you call it Aquarius III? And I said, because I told her why. And then she goes, oh. And I go, why? And she goes, well, because Bobby's the third and he's an Aquarius. And I was like, bitch, what? I'm gonna tell everybody I did that on purpose. So my son was born February 6th, 2020, and his name is Sir Robert Bryson Hall III. So it's actually serendipitous yet again. Which is really cool. So there's just the moments and the things. This is like, I am a man who is reflecting on his life, not his come up, you know, not his teenage years before his first album. Like, I am a man, a father, a husband, a boss, a business owner, a kid who's reflecting on everything and made an album to say goodbye. Like, that is this album.
Soul Food 2.
Oh man, let's talk about this, dog. All right. So Soul Food 2 was always Soul Food 2, but these fuckers got the leak and they think that Inglorious Bastard is what it was gonna be and that's all that it was gonna be. But they don't know what happens in here. They don't know when you lay certain shit to certain shit and your engineer just names it whatever and somehow somebody gets the files. They think they know. So it was always Soul Food 2. Goddamn, conversations with people. You know, crazy how one day the legends forget that they equal on this Under Pressure sequel. We not taking it back, we keeping it pushing. Some people scared of change, but you'll find me deep in the cushions. Whatever the fuck, I don't know, I got a lot of raps. What I'm saying is obviously that's the play on goddamn conversations with legends. When I was sitting down with m.A.A.d, not to say that he's a legend who's forgotten that he's equal by any means. I'm just simply saying that that was where that first line came from. And if you actually listen to this version or rendition of Soul Food 2, you'll hear the same scratch if I got for Soul Food here, and then I come in, goddamn, and you hear my newer my vocals where they are now. Now here's the funny thing that you guys don't know. The original sample of this song, the world never heard. This is the Soul Food people were supposed to hear. This is the beat you were supposed to hear. And if you go side by side, you can hear the difference in them. The other one is a replay that we did with an opera singer. DJ Khalil came in and destroyed it. Shout out to Khalil. He fucking murdered it. And it's basically identical to what my buddy Sladro would compare his ears as peasant ears, so that you can't really hear. But a motherfucker who loves and knows music will hear this and immediately go, whoa, this is crazy. And we tried to track them down, so since we couldn't do it, we didn't use the master. And 6 years went by and I was like, well, I'm kind of bigger artist now. You know, I'm working with a lot more powerful people. Maybe I could find these people. And we tracked them down in France. And I had to fucking write a whole thing and do all this shit. And we got them to give us the okay to use it. So what you're hearing on this is like what you were supposed to hear the first time. Only better now because I'm a better rapper. Because of all the heart and soul that went into these raps and these lyrics. Depicting and painting these pictures with, I mean, punchline on punchline on punchline on punchline. That's why if you listen to some of these first few records, there's just so many punchlines because I was going in.
You got something to prove.
Yeah. And then on the other ones, I was like, all right, more introspective or more right now or more whatever the case may be. But that Leo line, dog, in Aquarius 3, I'm like Leo from Revenant. Bear with me. Ooh, I love that. Anyway.
Who does that, by the way? Go back to the original song you did. Contact the people 7 years later because you want that original so then you can put it out again.
Because I wanted the fans to really have what they deserve.
That's crazy.
And I had to pay for it, by the way. You're welcome. So that was like, yeah. I mean, you got to understand, this whole album, I'm not really making any money.
Because of all the samples.
Because of all the samples. I'm not making any money. Like, I was talking to my lawyer, and he was like, are you sure you want to do this? That's how he talks. And I was like, look, Paul, I don't give a fuck. You know, my management team, they got it. We get it. We know what it is. But I was like, look, man, it's not like this is 1-800 or Every Day or, you know, Homicide or Keanu Reeves or I could go on. No, I'm just kidding. It's not like it's like these big records. This is true to form. You know, I'm not defined by my sales in my first week. You know, I'm only defined by my verse week or whatever. Like, that is what this album is to me. The epitome of hip hop, the epitome of sampling, whether people want to fuck you and try to take all your money or this or that. There's a couple samples I was like, fuck you, fuck off. And it just is what it is. Those raps still made it. And then I just rapped that. Like, that's the epitome of me rapping for 3 minutes about two guys in outer space and like a recap of Ultra 85 and these guys getting to paradise and talking about the order of the Ultra 85 and aliens and space guns and molecular rays and all this nerd shit. Like, to me, that is the epitome of rap shit. Like, this isn't a, oh, whatever song. Like, this is like, yo, I have to pay for this sample. This is, if you do not like raps, you will not like this. I mean, I'm rapping on a U57, which is a stage mic, which fucking Jay-Z used on 444 and Nas used, and I looked No ID in the face and was like, can I please have this microphone? And he gave it to me, and I got that shit. I'm about to frame that motherfucker, dog. Clone Jay-Z with his fingerprint or something, and just finally get that verse from him. And then, yeah, so it's raps on raps on raps on raps on raps, like, to the point where, you know, there's people out there who are literally they call it the lyrical miracle rappers and shit, right? Mm-hmm. J. Cole and this and that motherfuckers, they're like, we don't want to hear this shit. You are going to hate this album for sure. But you're still going to talk about it because you have no choice.
I'm happy to see you happy. Sometimes the world can take that joy away with whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And it's like to see the process and the progress of this album from the notes and the chicken scratches and whatever to now it's finally all come together, and it sounds like there's so many things that serendipitously have fit. It's a dope feeling to see that.
It's funny because I think how you feel, right, that kind of like sadness is how a lot of people are going to feel, but there's really no reason to feel that way. I'm still going to create so many different things in so many different ways. I'm still going to be a part of everyone's lives. I'm not going anywhere, like, you know what I mean? In that sense, I'm just...
Technically, you're already going to another state.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know, but we'll see each other, you'll come. But for the most part, what I mean is like, if anything, it's really gonna make me, it's already made me happier, but it's gonna make me connect even more with my fans. I'm extremely excited to do a book, so basically a no pressure rhyme book, where I'm gonna HD quality photo scan all the raps, the ones that didn't make it, all the shit that's just in there. Then after that, I'm gonna print out the raps clearly. So that's gonna be the second section of the book. Then the third section of the book is gonna be me going into extreme detail about not only every punchline, but every memory, every lyric, why I did it, all this other shit, so that people can really know what went into this fucking album. And who knows how long that's gonna take. And I want it to feel like a fucking journal. Mm-hmm. I want you to open it and it looks like it's my shit with little pieces of paper in it and all types of stuff. These are the things that I'm excited to do. But when I'm thinking about #1 lists and award shows and this and that and who's the top and the blah, 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 I'm like, it takes me away from all this creativity. Yeah, 100%. So
perfect. It almost sounded like a Juicy J beat.
Six made that shit. You know what's so funny? As I was in the studio working on it, and I couldn't rap on it. Like, I was trying because I was in this like growing pains for no pressure intro, and I was like, this Because there's a part of me that was like, this doesn't fit, this doesn't fit, this doesn't fit. And I was like, but it can fit, it can fit. And I was trying and figuring it out and doing a million different things. And then I finally just got the flow. When I got the beat, I realized like it needs a break. This album does need like a bit of something simple. And I was just like, all right, let's just go in and have fun. And then I chopped up like Perfect on the MPC, perfect and all that. And yeah.
Demo, 2005. What do you think about when you reflect on that time?
I just hear a motherfucker who discovered the thesaurus. And I'm always going like this. Every time I play it to somebody, I'm like, oh, it's so bad. It's actually not that bad. It's actually pretty fucking good. 15 years old, you know, kid just rapping, but it's cringy. And I'm talking about smoking weed in gazebos, trying to be fucking Biggie Smalls. And yeah, it just makes me smile, and it's really cool. I had to take that shit off tape, a fucking cassette, dog, that I found. And that to me was so important to like show people not only where I've been, but like what I do now. You know, it's almost like Supermarket. Like all these people weren't there the first time I was learning to sing, and I was terrible, or you know, doing all these different things. So I kind of wanted to take you back to what it is. And you know, there's all these fans that are always like, release all your old shit. And I'm like, you know, Kobe and Jordan and everybody they don't release footage of them in the gym since forever, missing all those shots. And to me, that's a miss, but it hits and is a perfect swish on this album, especially coming just before the next song, which I think is just one of the biggest, grandiose, honest, technically skilled records that I've ever done, ever. Which is
Heard Him Say. That sample, like I fucking love that sample.
Bro, Manfred Man Band. I've been listening to them for 10 years trying to find a sample. 10 years.
Specifically because you wanted to sample them?
Yes. Six has sampled them a bunch. m.A.A.d sampled them on So Appalled for Twisted Fantasy. I've just been trying, and I just failed so many times. Like, good beats, but beats that weren't right. Beats that didn't do that to me.
When you say failed, what does that mean?
It means I made a beat that I never fucking used.
So that just the sample just didn't fit?
Yeah, or it didn't fit for me. It could fit for any other, you know, a million other rappers, but it just did. There was just something that wasn't there for me. And obviously, you know, it's the classic Kanye. I mean, he should just patent the goddamn pattern. It's a pattern that's been done a million times before and after Ye, but it's just the boom, 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 you know what I mean? Like the classic. It's like, I think from Good Morning or something. But I've always loved that. I've used that pattern a million times. So is Six. We'll just use different beats. The thing here, I think, that really hits it is the fact that I use an open rim. So because I use an open rim with such verb, similar to how Kanye did it, it gives you that feeling of Kanye. Mind you, we're talking almost 20 years ago. So this is where I don't give a shit. But I don't give a shit if it was yesterday. Like, that's just who I am. If it inspires me, I'm gonna flip it and do my own thing, and it is what it is. And that's why, once again, like, I love Kanye, man, I just do. So they say I ain't good enough, say I ain't hood enough. Even if I signed to Yeezy, I wouldn't be good enough. That's me going off, like, it's like salute, like, this comes from, this thing is inspired from what you did, but it's different. This is mine, my flows, my raps, my breaks, my sample, my chops, my all this other shit. But it's like, I'm your student, you know what I mean? Like, so thank you for what you did almost 20 years ago. That was a fire kick, snare, kick, snare, kick. Like, you know what I mean? That's, okay, cool. But I took that and did it my own way. And I remember playing it for Dion because I was like, m.A.A.d, you know, and for those of you who don't know, that's Kanye's mentor. That's, you know, he taught Kanye everything he knows about making beats. So I was just like, is it too much like it? Especially because of the title, right? Heard Him Say. And then Kanye has a classic Heard Him Say with Adam Levine.
From Maroon 5.
Yeah, which is on, what is that on? Late Registration?
Yep.
Yeah, so, and I loved it, but I'm like, this doesn't have anything to do with that, though. So people will go, oh, Heard Him Say, similar drum pattern from Graduation, take it and be like, oh, it's just a whatever, but it's not. And if you really listen, it's called Heard Him Say because of what the girl says in the sample. Now, this is why this is such a special song to me, because it's the first time I'd ever really flipped a sample to say something just as deep as my lyrics, right? You know, I saw a kid with no smile on his face today. You know, that is just and that's how I felt. Like, I had no smile on my face because they say I ain't good enough. They say I ain't hood enough. Even if I signed a Yeezy, I wouldn't be good enough. That is just the realest. That's how I felt. And then, but when you get to the end, you realize that it's like, you know, I've been battling with my demons. I'm cowardice when I see them. I'm powerless. I can't beat them. But deep down, I feel like I need them to create. Power is freedom. You can lead them, but can't feed them. Smiling on my face, but I'm dying under the surface. That's me saying, every time you ever saw me, peace, love, and positivity, peace, love, and positivity, peace, love, and I'm smiling on my face, but I'm dying under the surface. What is my purpose? I'm feeling worthless. Tell me what worth is. Like, it's just so, I'm like, I'm lost. And then finding myself in the end of it, right? And Bobby boy, he ain't no kid no more, you know, 30 something. I ain't rapping about no dumb shit, ho. Now, if you feeling how I'm feeling, let a motherfucker know. I used to dream I'd become the fucking man I am, you know, writing raps and or counting money and reading my son Sam. I am like, it's just the truth. It's just so real. And now that I'm here, I'm like, yo, there's this sense of freedom. And then you hear it, but when you hear the drop, I heard him say, and then she goes, and she doesn't say this. I chopped it so it sounds like she says this. I heard him switch up. I heard him switch up. I heard him say, you know, that boy different, don't fuck with him, but I'd rather stand out than stand in. Let the story begin, right? So there's all these homages. I don't give a shit. Rappers be like, I'm original. This is all never been anything. Like, fuck that. I love you, Ye. I love Kendrick. I love Cole. I love Drake. I love all these fucking people that are here now, that were here before me, that will be here after me. I love the Polo G's, the Choppas, the fucking little babies, and I love my brothers in arms, man. Why you think Joyner called me and was like, yeah, let's not beef anymore? We won't get into that because he knows that I'm a good dude. And what did I do? I said, water under the bridge. Let's make a song. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have no issue with nobody, man. And so when I hear that song and what it means to me, it's like just the epitome of like me as an artist. Like, I made it. I made this beat by myself. I wrote these raps by myself, but they would be nothing without the people that inspired me to do it. And I'm not gonna lie to you or the camera or any fucking buddy else and pretend to disguise it in a way that nah, man. Thank you, hip hop. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to make this. Farewell. And it's the last song.
This and Dad Bod, I would probably say my two favorites because I feel like they kind of represent a space and time in your journey.
Yeah, for sure, bro. It's the now, it's the present, but it's like the end of the bullshit, you know? I've kind of smiled and gritted my teeth through a lot of our interviews that we've ever done and riddled with insecurity and told myself and the viewers and everybody that it's the happiest I've ever been or the this or the that or whatever the fuck. And for a lot of it, it is true because I was always like growing as a man, but I'm still insecure. So I'm here to say I'm insecure. Like, I'm here to be open and say I have problems. Sometimes I feel really sad because it feels like I'm not accepted by the trolls on hip hop Twitter, you know, and they make me contemplate things I don't even want to say out loud, you know, and that's okay. Like, I'm a human being. So understanding and coming to terms with me just being a human, a regular person who just so happened to make it is why I am the happiest that I am. Because I can now say when I'm sad, why I'm sad, the reasons of this, and kind of not give a shit like what people say, you know? And it's like I do care because I want to be loved by everyone. I want to be loved by every single fucking person on this goddamn planet. Because
what human doesn't?
Exactly.
What human being doesn't want to be accepted, especially by the culture that they give so much to, right?
Yeah.
We want to be respected by our peers. We want to be respected by the people that are part of the culture. But it's like, at the end of the day, there's people who fill out your stadiums who I think speak a lot louder than a couple of people who are trying to do things for headlines.
Yeah, but not when you live in their world. When you live in their world where the headline is, it doesn't feel as big as the stadium. It makes the stadium microscopic. It makes it feel like a grain of sand in the ocean that is the universe, you know? So all you got to do is get out of that. So that's why I'm out of it, and it still can affect you. Like, I'm so out of it like I've never been. It's not on my phone. It's not here. It's not there. But every once in a while, you get weak. and you go and you type in some shit you shouldn't. It's deeper than the surface. I'm tired. I'm searching for purpose. I'm tired of searching for logic in Google on purpose just to read that I'm worthless. I type my name in Google because I'm trying to look for a place where I'm loved and appreciated, but that just doesn't exist. Fan pages don't treat you with love. Reddits and subreddits aren't a good place. It's just a place of constant bickering and this and that and whatever the case may be. And the only real place that I find, solitude outside of my home, and my family is on tour once a year, maybe twice a year, when I'm exhausted and traveling and going to hotels and missing my family and all this other shit. I'm loving that moment on stage, but it is a finite amount of time. Okay, if we could say that my set is an hour, it's longer than that, but if we say it's an hour and I do 24 shows in 6 weeks or less, that means I have 24 hours, okay? 24 individual hours with thousands of people that love me, but I have 24 hours a day with people online who could be saying all types of shit. So that is it's not a good balance. But I am pretty stoked. I feel happy. I feel good. I don't really owe nobody shit. That's my biggest thing was I was like, oh, I owe my fans, or I owe this, or I owe that. 10 years, 14 projects, 1,000,001 fucking tours, merch ideas, things that I've done, things that I'll still continue to do. I don't owe nobody but my son to be a good dad, and to my wife to be a good husband. That's the only people I owe fucking anything, dog.
Let's talk about the transition between Heard 'Em Say and Amen in terms of Thalia.
Yeah, so Thalia is throughout the whole album. It's crazy because she originally wasn't all over the album that much, and it always upset me. But the original versions, because this is probably, No Pressure's probably seen like a good 11 or 12 changes, maybe even 14, right? Of records that came and went, but the ones that always stayed were like the intro, Growing Pains, Heard 'Em Say, Hit My Line, so ones that just weren't going anywhere. A to Z is one of them. And so, yeah, but eventually over time, Thalia became more spread out, which I really loved, very equally throughout the album. And she says, yeah, this concludes the No Pressure program, just as she did on Under Pressure. And then she cut off and glitches out and goes into Welcome to the Ultra 85 program. Now, the crazy thing about this is what people don't really understand is all the shit that I have planned out in the future. That's why I say, like, if it really is 2 albums. Like, this is Ultra 85 and No Pressure. It's like really weird. Like, there was a time when I even wanted to just do a double album with these songs and just split them and be like, here, you guys are getting 2 albums in one. And yeah, so whether people would have felt cheated or it's like that, this is low key, this is the last one. And as the creator, I can decide that. You know what I mean? I decided that this is it. For this whole thing, it sums this up. Now, in regards to like a radio play, something that I've been talking to J.J. Abrams about, and to really give the people a conclusion to the actual story, the beeline of the fictional characters that I've created is different. I don't know when, where, how. I'm just so out of it now. I'm just excited to just go take a break. This song, Amen, it's kind of like Amen is the album. It's just one song. Like, I know that's crazy and it sounds weird, but it's like, hey, here it is, the one song. Like, it's like, this is the album. Like, everything that you could have gotten from the album is in this song. The self-doubt, the happiness, the pulling through it, all this other shit, the victorious ending. This right here for anyone who ride for me, in the game, not just on the sideline with me, watch me laugh, watch me cry, all this shit, like, that is it. And then to end it, like, with talking about, writing these rhymes in a Louis Vuitton rhyme book. Like, my wife bought me this rhyme book for Christmas, and it's Louis Vuitton. I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And I'm writing these raps in it, like, holy fuck. Mom, look, I'm writing these rhymes in a Louis Vuitton rhyme book. Mom, look, I finally made it out the hood, and now I'm shook. I finally made it out the hood. Everybody look, and these kids cheering, like, yeah. I'm across the street waving where the grass is greener. Really think about the level of buried alive. I feel like everything I do is unseen, and the grass is green, and all this, and then you get to this, and it's like, it kind of is a little greener over here. You know, it's not crazy greener. It's not that much greener, but it's kind of greener over here. But it's really just a metaphor for making it to the other side. Now, whether you realize that the grass is or is not greener, I think depends on the spoon in your hand in which you yield. You know what I mean? It's like, is it? Is it not? Is it full? Is it half empty? Is it whatever? And then so just that line, you know, now it's time to conclude the incredible true story and transformation, salutations, and then it just fucking ends. And then goes into the 15th track, which is called Obediently Yours, where we then have Orson Welles and all that other stuff. But did you have any specific questions for?
For A.M.A.d, your voice sounds different.
Yeah, there's a version of Ultra 85 with a whole bunch of songs where I rap like that. Yeah, where it's just a confidence. I don't know how to explain it. It's not the I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that, and whatever. It's just very much so like I got another song I have called I won't say what it is because then all these fans have their theories and shit ain't coming, so they just gonna be upset. But I have this other song where I do the same thing and it's fucking dope. I have a bunch of songs. I'm telling you, there's like if I'm being realistic, I joke and say 8 versions, but there's probably like between 4 to 6 versions of Ultra 85 that I've made. We made one in Tokyo. I made another one when I got back. I switched that shit up. I made this version with a bunch of these different songs. I mean, it really goes on and on. But that's the thing. It became like this detox, this Dr. Dre thing, which was fun. It was kind of fun to do and elude, but then it shit just got out of hand and all these fans are like, whatever. So I'm like, it's easier to just scrap it, you know? Now fans can go on and be like, there's no way. I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to create theories about all this other shit. And it's like, you gonna be creating some theories, dog.
How did you come across the Orson Welles speech?
So for Obediently Yours, the last track, because it goes into that because I separated them. I don't know, it hit me after the album had been done. And I was like, oh, what if I find Orson Welles speaking, because he does his radio show where it's a movie, it's like a cinematic experience. What if I find Orson Welles, because I found him doing an intro, doing a really cool outro. And like the first thing I looked up just so happened to be about an outro that he did where a black soldier who was fighting in World War II came home and was beaten to death by the police so bad they blinded him. He was a young guy, a kid basically. And he talked about it on his radio show. And then the next week, the mayor was like, you're spreading lies about our city and all this other shit, and it was all true. And then so he wrote this fucking crazy thing. The whole thing is like 14 minutes, but I chopped it up. And I chopped it up specifically to fit the narrative of the picture I wanted to paint and of currently what is going on. That was the only thing on the album where I wanted to actually hit on the present time, but in a way that is still timeless because it's something that's been going on. And I found it and I just thought it was perfect and really beautiful. And once again, it was like I was saying it, and where he's like, this is logic. And I'm like, this is how I want to address you. And I want to use this man's voice. You know, just like I might want to use Kanye's drum kick or, you know, Outkast's similar beat or Erykah Badu's vibe or this or that. I'm going to use Orson Welles' voice and speech from 70 years, 80 years ago. And we're still experiencing the same thing. And the thing that I loved about that one speech is the part where he says, our children's children are the ancestors of a free people. And that to me was like, yo, ancestors, dog. Like, we're the ancestors of like the people who first came to this country or came for the ancestors of, you know, England or South America or America. And the southern region of America, as our boy would say. Yeah, I don't know. It was just perfect, man. It was perfect. And also the reason I named it Obediently Yours is because that's how I felt. You know, he goes in, before you even really get into the deep shit that make you want to cry, he talks about his servitude as a public figure and how he's paid very well and he's this and he's that. But if he doesn't use his voice to stand up, like he believes that a healthy man owes the sick all that he can do for them, you know, a man with sight should do all that he can for blind men, and free men should do everything that we can to free slaves. Otherwise, like, what, you know what I mean? Like, why are we in that position? That's fucked up. We should help others. Mm-hmm. I don't think at the expense of every waking moment of our lives, depending on who you are as a person. So, and I say this to say, this is how I feel about politics, right? You know, people could be like, Logic, how do you feel about politics? And how do you feel about this? If you really wanted to know how I felt, I would like quit not only rapping, I would quit music, and I would quit writing books, and that I would become a politician. I would do but I'm not that. We have those. Some of those people don't deserve those jobs. Others are coming up to take those jobs. Youth are, putting new laws and acts and things into place that are helping with that. So I just simply say that I have spent my whole musical career fighting for injustice. But that's a part of my life, and it's actually been the biggest part of my life up until now, having my family and my son. And I've spent and sacrificed what could be a line about a bad bitch or whatever to pretty much replace that with these positive things. Not in every single song, not in every single this, but in every project, in every interview, in every whatever, I've done that. So I just really loved what he said, and I thought it was a very poetic way and a very cohesive way to end an album that began in such a way.
The saddest part for me about ending it with that is that you said that happened 70 years ago, and it feels so in tune with what's going on now, and it makes me feel like, damn, like, how much progress have we really made in race relations? How much progress have we really made in systemic racism? Like, feels like he could be on the radio right now 100%. Talking about what's going on.
It's crazy. And we have made a lot of fucking progress, dog, like, for sure. But the fact that progress is all we've made is the issue. But it is sad, dog, because fuck progress. You know what I mean? Low key, right? It's like, yeah, I could sit here and say, black folk and white folk can eat together now. Did you know that? It's like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? That is ridiculous that was even a thing. A lot of this shit is cool. Like, I see a lot of young people, and it's more so cool to put something in their bio. It's cool to be, like, pissed off at injustice, which I like. So I'm not upset about it at all. But I see that it's a trend.
Yeah.
I see that people with no true common knowledge are seeing what's trending and then just giving their 2 cents rather than actually educating themselves and making it their life.
Right.
They're not doing that. But hey, man, as long as you're showing up to the front line, I'm with it.
People putting activists on their thing, and I'm like, you just put out 2 tweets and like now you're activist? Like, it's like, do you know the people who dedicate their life to this?
People have died for this?
People have died for this. Like, now people will just put a couple hashtags and it's like, oh yeah. But at the same time, I look at you and I'm like, hey, I'd rather than hashtag this and hashtag some bullshit that doesn't matter. So I guess we'll just take it all and move a step in the positive
That's what I
direction.
said, I heard him say, right? People on Twitter bitching, hashtag it, but in real life they never pitch. And I came with conviction. I hope you came to listen. No matter how much I ignored this message, my mission. God hit my line, this world is in critical condition. Like, it's just the realest shit. I can't touch on every topic, but I know you hear it in my voice, make the devil stop it. Too many people dying and baby mamas crying. Like, that's some real shit. And I think I said that knowing that people could hear me talk about so many different topics, but not necessarily going into all of them. But that was the point. The point was to shed light on what is going on. To have a conversation be started about those things. Not a conversation being started about how I only touched on this and that. You guys are talking about what I spoke about, so you should be now using your voice to elevate that even more rather than critiquing me how I could have went deeper into it. It's going to be really hard when this album comes out. It'll already be out by the time this comes out, because there's a part of me that wants to be on the internet and celebrate it and be there with my fans and like see it and talk, but there's a part that I can't. It's out, and within 30 minutes of an hour-long album, there's already, it's an 8 out of a 10 or a 7 out of this or a 9 out of whatever. Or this, it's like, it's insane. I can't deal with it. And it's like unfair because people aren't giving it the time it deserves. When I listen to an album, I listen to it for weeks. I have my initial feeling, but there's been times like, when m.A.A.d City came out, I fucking hated that album, dog. 100%. People could be like, oh, whatever, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck. That is my opinion. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I wasn't into Kendrick Lamar doing all his weird voices. I didn't like that. I liked J. Cole being like, yeah, born sinner. Like, straight up, like, that's what I liked. I didn't like all these skits. I didn't like having to sit through 9 minutes of a song. I didn't like it. And then I loved it because I sat with it. I wasn't on Twitter like, yeah, this is da-da-da. I sat with it and I went, damn, okay, you're fucking with your voice. Some people have done that, Outkast, different shit like that, but you're doing it in your own way. This is really cool. That's inspiring. I like that shit. Wow, you know why I like this? Because I'm listening to Cole and I'm listening to these different people rap on like boom bap beats, but they're kind of more modern, where you only have a few modern beats and you're doing way more actually super raw shit and weird shit and different shit. And I fell in love with it. And in a month, it was my favorite album. You know what I mean? Like, anybody who gives an opinion in 2 seconds, even if they praise it, it's bullshit. You know, you have to sit and live with something. And I hope people sit with this for the rest of my career.
I don't know how to follow that up. I'm like, what do you tell a man who says that he's done? This is his last music, his last album, his last
whatever. I don't know, man. I just know when it comes to logic and rapping, I'm not going to do that. And that's not an open to be like, oh, well, like when it comes to logic and releasing albums and rapping on albums and doing all this other shit, no. And it's not even like, well, does that mean, no, like that's it. It's just kind of that simple. And if I want to express myself or whatever, I'll find another way to do it. So people can take that as they want, but that's where I am right now with it. More pain in this industry than happiness for me.
If somebody who's dedicated their life to want to rap is moving to get away from all the shit, then it just shows me that as an industry, there's something very wrong.
This is my perspective, but I see it in so many other artists, dog. You know what I mean? And we can get into it a million times and this and that, but it's like J. Cole. You know, he writes a song and expresses how he feels, and then everyone wants to cancel him. Or, you know, Killer Mike says, like, wears a shirt that says "Kill Your Masters" while giving a speech about police brutality, but nobody even understands the meaning behind it, and they shit on him for it. It's just the ignorance of people is, I think, why I'm walking away from it. You know, just it's like even the concept of freestyling, like. Real freestyling in the park on some Most Def Brooklyn shit just does not exist anymore. And the reason it doesn't exist is because if I spit a rhyme one time off the top of my fucking mind, people could be like, man, that shit was too ill designed. I think I'm kind of refined. You know, I like to spit this shit. This is how we do it. Goddamn, do you really get this shit? See what I'm saying? I ain't playing. I'm just spraying like a motherfucking what? Like a Beretta. That's that old school recycle type shit. Bring it back. Popping wheelies on bicycles type shit when I write this shit. Damn, it's just good. It's a vibe. A fucking vibration. Celebration. I'm about to give you this invitation, this dissertation, this goodbye, this peace, this late registration meets UGK meets some other shit, NWA, who knows, what can I say? I don't got it, I just play. I love to rap, I love to spit freestyle every day, but what I'm trying to say is, unless you got punchlines on top of written rhymes that blow people's minds, then they say the shit is whack. They can't face it, and it's a fact. If you ain't write your shit down, then it's just not good enough, but if you write your shit down, then it's just not good enough. I'll tell you this, man. I've had old heads from way back in the day talk about how they used to write they shit but free it all day. Like, can I say maybe even Big L with Jay? Remember that 7-minute freestyle, the way that they sway? But the crazy part is we all say that Big killed him, but the truth is all them lines he had filled in, because if you listen to that freestyle, you hear the same lines from Big L in his first 2 albums. So what the fuck is the outcome? How come we can't just rhyme and have a really good time without people fucking overthinking every damn line? So for me, that's a real freestyle. It's not crazy. It's not mind-blowing. It's not this. It's random thought. And when you were with the homies in the park, you say some shit and you be like, yeah, I got it straight up with the committee. There goes some girl with the big titties. And everybody goes, oh. And it's fun because it's a moment, because you're there and you're in time and you're in tune and you're together with your brothers. But when you slap a label on it and ads and a radio station and pressure and all this other shit, it becomes something so much more, to the point where we're calling these things that are freestyles, they're not freestyles. Why do you think I don't freestyle? I'll never freestyle ever again. Like, you know how bad I wanted to do Funk Flex, but he wouldn't have me because I was too small at the time, which I get, makes sense. I'm not upset. He's like one of my favorites. And, you know, I haven't gone and done it because I care too much. Like I would literally stop. I would go do a Black Thought and rap for 10 minutes straight, and it would be the illest writtens and all this shit, and I'll just go and go and go and go and go. But that's not fun to me. A real freestyle is fun, like having fun with your homies. Like when I was on Sway, I mean, my fucking vein is popping out of my head because I had to fucking kill it, and there was all this pressure and stress when it should have just been what I just did 2 minutes ago. It should just be you're freestyling and having a good time. But that art form is lost, you know, because everything is so analytical, and what's the top best Sway freestyles of all time, and you gotta take that, and you got King Los, and you got Gambino, and you got me, and you got, you know, fucking Kendrick or whoever, like going, and it becomes something less about culture and unity, and it becomes more about who's the illest, which then divides us, and then the art is like kind of lost and gone, you know what I mean? And I love real freestyles, but I'd be scared to freestyle because you say some dumb shit
and that lives forever.
And that lives forever, but it should live forever. And people go, oh, that was kind of whack. But no, that line was whack and blah, blah, blah. And it's a headline about this thing, and now your career's over. Like, that is the shit where I'm like, yo, I can't believe it. But I've talked to even just some of the greatest freestyles of all time. I won't get into them, but who would be like, yeah, all that shit was written back in the day. So it's funny to see the perception of what's written, what's not, what this, what that. But I mean, that's just a whole nother debate in hip hop.
You know what I'm seeing a lot in hip hop international is a lot of the freestyling in the park, because I was interviewing some artists from South America recently, and they're like, we don't have studios, we don't have a music industry. They're like, people and a park we have. So it reminds me of hip hop starting here and how
in the 80s and shit,
the industry wasn't there. So now it's like you have all these people in India and South America and like different parts where it's like they're now starting to build their movement of what hip hop is without the industry there, without somebody trying to, you know, eventually I'm sure all the brands will come and everything else
but you're
come.
right. But that's what makes it beautiful. I think something that, before it gets tainted, man.
It's the money.
It is. It's the money. It's a crazy fucking thing. But it doesn't matter. It's all, there's no spoon, bro. All right, I'm done. Swag. And then tomorrow we'll make some beats, remake some beats.